As you know, the Delaney Hall detention facility in New Jersey has been at the center of protests and clashes for more than a week now. You were just there, Tom. What did you see? Because there are a lot of concerns raised by advocates and lawmakers about that detention center.
Yeah, the concerns are not factual, though. Give me the facts. Give me the details, right? So I went up there. First thing I did was toured the facility. Then in addition to that, I met with the police. I met with the state troopers. I met with the mayor. I've also had several conversations with the governor, kind of like the same thing I did in Minneapolis, trying to get us all working in unison to increase public safety. So look, I toured the facility. I went through the entire facility. I went through medical. I went through indoor rec, outdoor rec. I went into the cafeteria. I went into the bathrooms and the showers. So I toured the whole facility. Is it a 5-star resort? No. But is it a well-run detention facility? Yes. And I'll say it again. I've said this throughout the last year and a half. We have the highest detention standards in the industry. If any of these people went to Delaney and saw what they saw, and they want to make stories up about, ICE detention standards, go take a walk through Essex County Jail. Go take a walk through the state prison system. I guarantee you our detention standards are better, and our medical staff per detainee is higher. So I went to the facility myself, and one of the things I heard was, the food was terrible. I made an unannounced visit there on Saturday. I sat down in the cafeteria with the detainees and ate the same meal they ate. And again, was it a 5-star cuisine? No, but it was spaghetti and meat sauce. It was green beans. It was charro beans. It was a butter and bread. It was fruit drinks. It was a dessert that I didn't eat, but the spaghetti was good. And I'm a pretty big guy, and I didn't finish the meal. I couldn't finish the meal. So, I saw it for myself. So I think a lot of this is based on, people in detention will make accusations because they don't want to be in detention. And there was never a hunger strike. This whole started about people being on a hunger strike. There was never a hunger strike because the few people who didn't eat in the cafeteria were getting food from the commissary. So they were eating. So again, putting out false information because their goal is, and they've said it, the governor said it, the mayor said it, this is about shutting down that facility, and the politicians on the Hill, it's about abolishing ICE. That's what it's about. But they got to give me facts to run down. Me and my staff, we talked to the governor and her staff. Give me specifics. You said there's a miscarriage? Give me a name. You said that someone was attacked by an ICE officer? Give me a name so I can run these things down. I never got any specifics. And when we asked this, well, these are just things we're hearing. Well, it's hard to run down these things if you don't have the information to run down. But as far as what I saw, it's a well-run facility.
Mr. Homan, you say that the reports of bad, poor conditions are misleading and inaccurate. In a lawsuit this week, New Jersey officials described overcrowding at Delaney Hall, lack of ventilation.
Let's talk about that real quick, overcrowding. False, negative, lie. It's a 1,000-bed facility. They had 706 people. 706 people in a 1,000-bed facility. Not even close to capacity. There's no overcrowding.
But they also described inadequate medical care, unsanitary food, unchecked spread of communicable diseases like COVID-19 and influenza, unsanitary bathroom conditions, and lastly, potentially inadequate tuberculosis infection control practices. And that's coming from the New Jersey Department of Health, not some politician. How does that square with what you're telling me now?
I was there. I went to the medical facilities. We talked to the doctors and nurses. They said everybody's getting their medication on time. Now, if something broke out, look, this is talking about detention facility. It happens in prisons and jails. If something contagious comes out, other people get sick, just like they do in the public, just like they would do in a hotel, like they do on a cruise ship. Some contagious diseases will spread, but they immediately, the medical program in our facilities immediately take control of that. We got negative pressure rooms. So if we find somebody with TB, they're put in a negative pressure room so they can't affect the rest of the population. These things are mitigated. We're dealing with this all the time. I mean, when I was ICE director, we had a cohort population in the facility because during the border crisis, chickenpox took over a family residential center. We've had measles outbreaks, but we handle them as they come. That stuff isn't isolated to an ICE detention facility. Where do people get, really, really sick in hospitals? I mean, it happens, but we mitigate them, respond to them quickly. I asked the physician there and the nurses, When someone gets really sick, what's the protocol? We take them to the nearest trauma center. So they monitor this stuff. There's medical records. So you know what? What I think the lawsuit's going to show? The lawsuit's going to show that medical attention at this facility is adequate. I'm not a doctor, but I was there and I talked to the professionals there, and I'm satisfied they're doing the right thing.
So, sir, you don't have any concerns about Delaney Hall and the conditions there? Not a single concern?
Could it be a 5-star facility? Yes. I mean, could we have more doctors and nurses? I don't think so. We got more doctors and nurses per detainee than the state prison does, than the county jail does. I mean, it can always improve. I'm not saying this facility is perfect. I mean, I walked through there. It's an older facility. Upgrades, fine, but nothing is going to take away from detainees' health.
Okay.
I mean, I was there. I went through it.
Sure. And sir, New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill and the state inspectors say that they're not being granted full access to Delaney Hall. If the reports of overcrowding and substandard conditions are not accurate, as you say, why not just let them inside?
There have been a number of congressional people inside the hall, but now they filed lawsuits under litigation. So we'll let the attorneys fight it out. I'm not getting involved in litigation. I'm not an attorney. But once you file a lawsuit, then attorneys on each side will work out what's the best way forward. So I don't know, what the access is going to be in the near future, but I can tell you it's under litigation. We'll let the attorneys fight it out. But again, I went through the facility. I stand by the facility. Again, it's not a Grand Hilton. It's a detention center. And I've been in a lot of jails, and I've been in 2 state prisons. I wish they would go to their own state prison, look at that, then come to the Delaney Hall, get something to compare it to. Because I think they'll understand that detention is not a luxury. Detention, and they say they want to shut down the facility, they want us to release detainees. When I looked at the files, a lot of people in that facility are mandatory detention by federal statute. We couldn't release them if we wanted to, because there's certain people, whether they're expedited removals, whether it's certain criminal, whether they're final order cases, by law, we have to detain them. And here's what they're not talking about. You want to shut down the facility? Then every illegal alien we arrest in that state will fly to Texas, we'll fly to Arizona, detain them there, because we're going to keep arresting people, we're going to keep detaining people, we're going to keep removing people. If I can't detain them in that city where they're close to their families, then we'll have to move them someplace else. How does that benefit the migrant community? I mean, you're not going to shut down ICE enforcement. You're certainly not going to abolish ICE, and you're not going to stop us from doing our job. President Trump's in the Oval Office. He's there mainly because of what the Biden administration did to the border. Where were all these congressional representatives and politicians in 4 years open border? How come they didn't take Secretary Mayorkas on? How come they didn't take the Biden administration on for opening border? Over 10 million people flow to our border, many criminals, many sex offenders, 2.1 million gotaways. Where do they come from? Who are they? How many of them are terrorists? How many of them are criminals? They didn't say a word about what happened the last 4 years. And the reason ICE is out there arresting people right now, because we're responding to a historic illegal immigration crisis that they made, that they created on purpose. So a massive historic illegal alien crisis, how to respond to that? To massive deportation, because most of these people should never have been released in the country.
And Mr. Homan, would you be willing to allow us, CBS News and other journalists, inside of Delaney Hall to show the American public so they can see for themselves what the conditions actually look like?
That's a question for DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen. He oversees ICE. I work here for President Trump. That's a specific question for the Secretary.
But would that further the issue of transparency for the American public?
I got no problem with transparency. Well, again, those facilities are under the authority of Mark Wayne Mullen. That's a question for him. I'm not going to run his program, but I think Mark Wayne Mullen is doing a fantastic job, and that'd be a question for him.
Speaking of DHS Secretary Mullen, Mr. Homan, he has recently floated the idea of pulling Customs and Border Protection agents from airports and sanctuary cities that do not cooperate with federal officials on immigration. Are there actual plans to do something like that? It sounds like it could lead to chaos.
I'm not involved in those discussions. I'm not in the loop on that.
Would you be supportive of such a plan?
Again, I'm not going to get ahead of the president and the Secretary of Homeland Security. I mean, he reports to the president too. I'm not part of those discussions I don't know if those discussions are even ongoing right now, but I'm not going to get ahead of the president, because certainly the president has to weigh in. I'm not going to get ahead of the president on any decisions like that.
Mr. Homan, last time we spoke in Phoenix, you acknowledged that there has been a drop in ICE arrests, a 12% drop since Minneapolis in recent weeks and months. Do you expect that to change now that Congress is prepared to fund ICE with that new funding package?
Yes, because we need them to pay our contractors to do targeting. We need them to pay the contractors who handle, paying the bills, keeping the lights on, keeping the gas in the cars, keeping agents paid. So yeah, it's certainly going to help, and to pay our contractors. Excuse me, it's certainly going to help to pay our contractors who do a lot of important work. All the work they do make it possible for us to go out and do what we do. So yeah, the numbers are increasing. I look at the daily numbers are increasing week by week. But what people aren't talking about, people say, well, the numbers are down. Well, the gun's been shut down. Been shut down for months. ICE, a budget's been shut down for months. Of course, there's going to be a drop. And the litigation is, I've been around a long time. Started in 1984. I've never seen so much frivolous litigation that is preventing us from detaining people and removing people that I've seen this past year. And we're overcoming it, but it slows things down. It takes away our efficiencies. In the sanctuary cities, by not letting us into jail where one agent can arrest one bad guy, now we got to go to the street and find somebody that don't want to be found. And the consequences of that is collateral arrests are going to skyrocket, because when we find a bad guy, many times they're with others are in the country legally but not a criminal target. Well, they're coming too. We're not going to turn a blind eye to that. So, defunding DHS is not going to shut us down. We're going to keep doing our job, but it does create inefficiencies. And once they pass the budget, you can see the numbers increase.
Mr. Homan, is the president happy with the current deportation numbers based on your conversations with him?
I'm not happy with the current numbers. Need to be more. Last administration had over 10 million people in the country. We got a lot of work to do. They're performing well. Last year's numbers were higher than any other year in history. But I want more numbers. I want more arrests. I want more deportations. We're working on that.
Mr. Homan, the World Cup is starting soon, as you know. Can you clarify what type of role ICE will be engaging in at the World Cup? Are ICE agents just expected to provide security at the stadiums, or is there a possibility that they could conduct immigration enforcement during the tournament?
We're going to conduct our Homeland Security work and make sure that those events are safe and doesn't pose a national security issue.
But the priority in that mission is not to arrest people who are in the country illegally, or is that also
there's no
part of the campaign?
There's no priority to do an immigration enforcement action at those events. But we have a national security responsibility that we're going to carry out. And in process of that, if we find a national security issue and it involves an illegal alien, of course we're going to take action on that. But the primary focus is keep those events safe, keep this nation safe, and keep the spectators and the athletes safe.
Are you saying, Mr. Homan, that the public and also visitors from abroad should not be concerned about ICE engaging in immigration arrests during the World Cup?
We're focusing on national security issues, and that's what we're going to be focusing on.
Sir, is there something I did not ask you about your time at Delaney Hall that you wanted to underscore and mention?
No, it's incredible how this all started as a political stunt on Memorial Day, the day we're supposed to be honoring those who gave most to this country. The people were sitting in Arlington Cemetery. Instead, they chose to do a political stunt, push out false information based on allegations that haven't been substantiated. When I had a discussion with the governor, I asked her, give me specifics. Who had a miscarriage? Who wasn't abused? Who was abused? Who wasn't eating? Who was on a hunger strike? I got nothing. I got, well, this is what we're hearing. Again, this isn't new. ICE detention, when I was ICE director years ago, ICE detention is always under attack. People that we keep in detention, they don't want to be in detention. So it's not unusual for them to say things, hoping it brings attention to it and hoping we release people, hoping, in the hopes that the facility was shut down. Well, I'm telling you right now, and I'm telling the politicians in New Jersey, that facility isn't going anywhere. It's going to continue to operate. We're going to continue to arrest people. We're going to continue to detain people. We're going to keep deporting people.
Lastly, sir, you recently said that there could be an ICE surge in New York Is that still in the works?
There is going to be increased activity in New York.
What does that mean? What does that look like?
It means exactly what I said. I'm not going to get into the weeds on that either. I'm not going to show our hand. But look, we lost the efficiencies of the jail. We lost the efficiencies of 287G. President Trump promised we'll take criminals off the street, right? So if we can't get them in jail, we'll get them in the street. So what does that mean? When you lock us out of the jail, that means more agents in the street. That means more agents assigned to New York. That's what it means. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Mr. Homan, thank you again for your time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.